Well, one of the big political stories we're checking for you this morning is around the elections in the North West. Another ANC conference reflecting clear factionalism and deep divisions within the governing party. The North West Elective Conference finally electing its top 5 leaders, with Nono Molloy beating Bushimape to the position of provincial chair. The conference also seeing some members wrongfully access the accreditation and the accreditation centre, and threats of legal action now possible against the outcomes of that conference. So let's get you some analysis on the situation in the Northwest and, of course, how it feeds into the elective conference of the governing party come December. Political analyst Professor Dirk Kotze joins us via our video link. Prof, great to talk to you once again. All issues and all roads leading to December and its elective conference of the ANC. The Northwest, though, seemingly still not getting its house in order, even though they've now elected those top 5.
Yes, that is indeed so. And I think the starting point of this problem is the fact that they have been in a sort of a transition situation since 2018. And that means that they don't have an established provincial executive committee. They didn't have that. It also affected the position of the premier of the province. And there was very much sort of discord within or between the different regions in the province. And that is what we've seen to some extent also now. At the same time, I think on the one hand, there are certainly improvements with respect to the organization of the ANC at branch level. But at the same time, we have seen now a type of almost a sabotage, as they claim it to be, of persons coming and trying to get access to the conference who are not legitimate delegates. So it all shows that there's still a lot of internal disorganization in the province. But what was interesting, first of all, is that there were so many candidates for the position of chairperson, but by far the majority of them are actually supporters of President Ramaphosa. So it looks like this interim arrangement has actually been a process of stabilizing his influence in the province. If we think back to 2017, the Northwest was one of the provinces of the so-called Premier League, and that is certainly not anymore the case.
But I mean, Prof, surely there are going to be a whole range of contests now, a whole range of objections to even this top 5 that have been elected, just given what we now know about the accreditation system. Some voting tags, ID tags replicated, some of them up to 15 times. Surely some of those votes went to these candidates.
Well, that's the detail which certainly will have to be addressed from within the ANC and the National Executive Committee of the ANC, Ubet Papela and others, and maybe also in terms of court challenges or litigation. So that is certainly possible. But what they have done, and I think they try to protect themselves against a widespread process like that, is the fact that they elected only the top 5. And the conference has been postponed for 2 weeks until these matters are sorted out before the rest of the provincial executive is elected. And I can imagine that if there is some contestation about the delegates, then there can be a re-election of the top 5 also. So I think in that sense, there is a mechanism now in place, far from perfect, but that can sort of prevent it from completely disintegrating as a conference.
You know, Prof, we always talk about all roads in terms of these elective conferences in the provinces leading to the national elective conference in December. But particularly in a province like the Northwest, given the kinds of service delivery challenges, I mean, that's putting it mildly. They've been really hammered by a lack of services and stable provincial governance there. How does something like an ANC conference weigh in on that?
Well, it is certainly going to have an effect on it. If we just looked, as you mentioned, to the different levels of service, there, first of all, the local authorities, many of them have been under administration, the majority of them at some point. The province was under administration. So it is certainly one of the weakest performers within the country at this point in time. And it is obviously in reflection on the ANC. What is in a sense sort of a contradiction in this is that the North West is not yet referred to as one of the provinces where the ANC can lose its majority in the 2024 election. So in that sense, it is such a deeply established ANC presence there that the problems of governance are not yet in the same way as, for example, in Gauteng or even KwaZulu-Natal now, being reflected in the results of the elections. But it's going to have a major impact, I would say, on the way in which the province can present itself as a solid, united province at the December conference of the ANC. But again, as I said, it looks like in terms of the internal factionalism of the ANC as a change that happened over the last number of years, and more in favor of President Ramaphosa.
Yeah, certainly. Professor Dirk Kotze, thanks very much indeed for giving us your analysis of the North West's provincial elective conference over the weekend, as you say, now postponed for 2 weeks. Thanks very much indeed for coming on.